It is Monday. Happy Monday. Happy new week of trading. Castillo Trading coming to you with another live stream. I didn't get one last week, but we're doing it this week, and then I actually leave town again for a wedding, so I won't be doing the Wednesday NPOC video or the breakdown segment on Friday. Still be doing my best to get you guys some charts and some updates and all that sort of stuff. Shout out to the stream sponsors, guys. Shout out to CoinCatch. They are the perpetual exchange of choice. That's what we use for our trading. That's where I go for most of my trading. You know, no KYC, no VPN. If you guys have any questions or any issues with them, please let me know and we can kind of get everything resolved. And then also Stryker.ai. Stryker.ai is another partner that I just ended up partnering with. They got a pretty good platform, guys. They have a macro calendar that you can look at and see when FMOC is. You can see when interest rates, CPI is going to happen. So it's just a really nice platform to kind of have all that information into one. They also have like calls as well for longing, shorting, micro caps, mid caps, large caps, all that sort of stuff. They're working on a few things for the UI UX. So again, just follow along with that and I'll get you guys some updates. For NPOC prints, we have one at 122560, 118, and 114. So these are going to be the main focus of the NPOC levels because they're going to be the ones within range, right? What I mean by within range, it means current range. We've kind of talked about the current range that we're watching on BTC. So I think for now, we did have that long that ended up doing really, really well. It was at that 115 area. And so again, this is what I kind of mean by NPOC prints, right? We ran down to that 115, right? But it wasn't a immediate reaction to the upside, right? It took time. It took time to kind of play out to the downside. You had a great opportunity to kind of build a long position within that. Even if you weren't going full in, we still had an NPOC print with a long setup that we were longing. And if you even took that print at 115, you could capture this upside to about that 122 last night. So again, NPOC prints, you need patience, right? They're not going to be an exact science to where they hit that perfectly and then they bounce, right? There's going to be an area of trading within that you can build a position. You can look at it as a good thing or a bad thing, right? If you wanted to long 115, well, you had a great opportunity to kind of build a position within this. And again, I was in Hawaii during this downside and I still was able to build a position on BTC, Filecoin, Ethereum, a couple of other plays as well, CRV, and was able to kind of capitalize into this upside. So going forward, what I will say is I'm not really interested in longing BTC until we kind of get lower, and again, I'm not bearish, I'm not becoming a bear, or I'm not bullish anymore. I still think the markets are going a lot higher, but you still have to have a level head when it comes to trading. Bitcoin is literally trading around its all-time high. So if you are buying BTC right now, if you're taking a long right now, just understand you are buying it at a very high premium price. What that means is you want to be waiting for discounted. I like waiting for discounted prices, right? So depending on how you want to trade it, we have not been getting the downside that most people have wanted. So you have to be a little bit, flexible with taking starter entries, dollar cost averaging lower. Really, you could probably long this 118 if you're interested. But again, that's just not really the best discount on the price. Depending on the low term timeframes, if you're trading the 1 minute, the 5 minute, it might be a decent area for a bounce if you want to throw some high leverage on it. But for me, I still think that the better reaction and the better patience is going to be waiting for that 114 NPOC print. And what does that mean? Well, it means that you're going to have a little bit of patience, right? I think when people think of trading, they want to be in a trade right now. They want to be in a trade today, right? And I get that. But at the end of the day, patience is still key when it comes to capitalizing on those discounted prices. So this is our next long entry. This is where I'm going to be looking to long BTC next, or at least adding to the longs that I currently have, and we'll come over here, use the object tree to organize everything, and so that is going to be our next long. Now, as far as shorts goes, I think we still have this one up. The next short is that 122.560 NPOC print, and again, it's one of those things that's like you don't have to short it, but for me, it's like instead of shorting, that's normally where I'll be taking some profits to the long side. I have not really shorted in a very long time, guys. I've taken like maybe 2 hedges in the past 3 months, right? So for me, the better game plan and the better strategy that I'm doing and with my trading is having patience for those dips, longing those dips, dollar cost averaging into those dips, and then being able to take profits into some of that upside. Bitcoin top indicator, we are not really seeing too much topping price action. So again, this is why I still like higher on Bitcoin. Now, does that mean higher today or tomorrow? Maybe not. But I still think, this is a 1 week chart, guys. This will print at the weekly close. So again, you won't really know in the middle of the week if some of these indicators are flashing red, right? You'll kind of know at the weekly close. So this is what I use for my high term time frame anchor chart. This is what I use to kind of keep me in a bias. You can use it as a bias for like long or short. And again, it does pretty well during the short side too. Once you start seeing some blue, then you can kind of start hammering on some shorts, right? Or at least knowing that the trend may have shifted, and then you could be looking to hedge a little bit more against your long exposure. Going forward on ETH, it's going to be the same thing, especially when it comes to NPOC levels for me. I don't think I'm going to force anything here. I am already currently long ETH and BTC, trying to maximize profits on those trades. Did lock some profits in, wasn't getting greedy, but for me, I don't think we have any setup, so I think this would be where I would be looking to long Ethereum next. So again, this doesn't mean that you have to short down to this level. All it could be is a game plan. The 3 steps that create a trade is what I always talk about. 3 simple steps. Plan the trade, which is what we're doing right here, right? Planning it together, planning it on the live stream, have patience for that trade, which means don't jump into anything too soon. Don't jump into anything right away, right? Have patience for it to unfold. Give it time to unfold. And then the third one is executing the trade. Executing the trade is the hardest. That's where most people struggle the most when it comes to these trades. And yes, it is probably the hardest rule to do, is because sometimes when price starts dumping and you just think it's lower is going to happen, you can get a better entry. But that's why you have to plan it first and be ready for this type of shit to happen. And then short, I still think we're kind of tapping into the potential area to put on a hedge on Ethereum as we get into like this 4K. I'll start using these. We don't have any other NPOC prints higher than 4706. So again, this could be a next short entry or take profit from lower, depending on how you want to look at it. So again, Ethereum, same thing, patience for these trades. There's no rush into buying anything, especially if you're looking for a low-term time frame trade. That's always my thing, is like, if you guys need patience for it, create these game plans and have patience for one of them to unfold. XRP looks pretty good. I mean, it's one of those things that's like, once things get going, yes, I really think that XRP can continue to get going. But I mean, just looking at a previous current range, deviation above, deviation below with acceptance back into range. Again, I am not interested in XRP again, but my situation is different than yours. I was literally just taking profits on this trade from spot perspective. I wouldn't be adding until we're back down into this discounted price. A lot of room to fall if it does fall down there. About a 30% move to the downside. I don't think it happens. I think that XRP gets a little bit of a good move to the upside here. Again, what does it depend on? It depends on Ethereum. It depends on BTC. If those continue to go, then I think everything else will continue to go as well. Kind of rejecting at median ML. Unfortunately, we didn't get that follow through. At least we haven't gotten it yet. But yeah, I still think anywhere for CRV within this discounted price range, if you can get an average within that, it'll bode well when we're back above $1. So CRV has been good. It's been a real big mover. It's something to focus on, but this one is also up too pretty substantially from the lows. About 130%. I still think there's, some more room for some upside. But again, it's like, is the juice worth the squeeze? I don't know. We'll just have to see on CRV. I still have that position open. I still think that it can go higher. As far as like a trading perspective goes, I think that anywhere within this 96 to 86 range is a decent average that you can get for that $1 break. Yeah, I mean, the weekly looks good. I mean, honestly, like if you're looking at this from a perspective of like, I want to hold this long term. I want to hold it for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months, maybe holding it spot. I don't think Sushi looks bad. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those ones that I used to use Sushi Swap, but I've completely stopped using it. So it's just not a product that I'm like very interested in. I think that there's a lot better swap platforms out there now. I think Sushi was kind of like one of the first ones that got a lot of hype. But for me, like, I use M87 now. I still use Uniswap. I think Uniswap would be better like long-term investment over something like Sushi. But yeah, it's very fucking bottomed. It's just, this is one of those ones that's like, is it going to get a traction again at some point? Like, you don't know. I think there's been a perspective of like, all these new launches that happen have taken a lot of liquidities, the trenches, there's a lot of new plays that are being formulated, not a lot of new swaps. Like Kiwi Swap is actually a good one too. That's new. But again, it's like, will these ever come back and establish themselves as like a good swapping platform? I think, yeah, of course. But you got to think there's a lot of other products out there, maybe more that are bringing in volume. Maybe their product doesn't have as good UI, UX as maybe a new one. So it's just like a faded phase, I guess you could say. So the swap phase was crazy. Back in 2020 and 2021, when all this shit was running, when, kind of like the deck swapping kind of like started to come to fruition, they were hot. But I think now narratives have kind of changed. Memes are a little bit more enticing to people, which is crazy. But I mean, that's just what it is. So Sushi, I guess weekly does look decent, but it's like, do you want to be holding it for that long? Will it ever come back? I don't know. I'm not too into Sushi. I've seen a lot of people talking about Link. This is one of the ones we kind of been trading the range, or at least talking about the range. This chart looks fucking good. I will say that. Link looks good. Link Marines are strong. The community's strong. They've been strong for a fucking long time. almost a little too strong and like very cult-esque. Like, it actually does look pretty good here on Link Chain. This is one of the ones that I said, like, if you were dollar cost averaging Link in like the low 7s, the high 8s, maybe, like, that's when this was like an enticing trade. Now it's starting to get moving, and we'll go down to the 4-hour and see if we can kind of extend this range and see what we can find here. I think Link actually looks pretty good here for even a short-term trade, especially if ETH stays hot. Yeah, Link looks good actually. From a trading perspective, it's actually not bad. You know, maybe a retest of this once resistance now turned to support at median ML, about that $20 range would be a better bid for me. But Link does look pretty good here. I'll have to put that on the watch list. So this is looking good, but again, we've seen a pretty substantial pump here, about 100% move. Maybe it chills out for a little bit, BTC takes control. Like, that would be ideal, right? If Ethereum continues to go higher here, maybe make some new highs. And again, this is the ideal situation. This isn't fucking what I think is, you know, gonna happen. This is what I'd like to happen. Is we see another extension on ETH BTC. When that happens, ETH makes new all-time highs, maybe back into that 5K range, or maybe at least pushing close to that 5K range. And then you see BTC dominance kind of take control a little bit. Then when BTC dominance takes control, BTC has its next leg higher, and we get into some of those targets, you know, the 140s, 150s, 160s. And again, that kind of still keeps ETH and BTC kind of on the same track. And then that rotation back into ETH, where we can see another leg after some chop back into this area. And then, you know, altcoins can kind of have some fun. But again, how long will that take? I mean, some people are really trying to time like when it's all going to end, when it's going to happen. I am still on the mindset that I think BTC has a very slow grind higher from here forward. I think that there'll be some days where it prints 5%, 6% and that sort of thing, but I don't think it's going to be as easy as people want. You know, they say, oh, 180K, 150K. There's people that are doing, 250K targets on BTC, 200K targets. And I get that. I do. It's going to just take time to get there. It's not going to be as quick as everybody wants. Everybody wants BTC to go up, Ethereum go up, the rotation to happen, all their altcoins to go up. And that was the rotation back in the day. But dynamics are different. Institutions are involved. There's a lot more VC funding that has their hands in things now. Banks are getting involved. All that shit is happening now. It's just different dynamics. What we want might not happen right away. I think it can still happen where we get that rotation back into a lot of those good blue chip altcoins, those high market cap altcoins. But I just think the time frame is just going to be a little bit jaded. You're going to need a little bit more patience with all of it. As always, continue to watch the Telegram. I'll be sending setups. I'll be sending updates, all that sort of shit. So appreciate you, and I'll see you guys over in Telegram. Peace out.